on Wednesday, and this channel is all about helping new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I see to step on. So we are at the middle of the week. Happy, I want to say Happy World Kindness Day. I think it's like Mr. Rogers Day, whatever. I know like my wife wore like a Target shirt really loves Mr. Rogers. Happy Kindness Day, Moon Moon Wednesday. So, anyways, today I want to talk about a topic that I see a lot, and I don't think it's always intentional, but it's about giving or getting bad voiceover advice. And I think this is a really big deal because there are so many people in our industry who are just starting out who are desperately searching for information because when you get started, it takes a lot of knowledge, right? There is a steep learning curve. And what happens is that, we put ourselves out there because we don't have any other way to get feedback or to get knowledge about what we're doing. And we put ourselves out there, and what happens is that um, we get back advice that a lot of times is not good. And I mean that either the criticism is negative, and it's sometimes it's harsh criticism, but a lot of times people not only criticize in a mean way, but also criticize in a way that's not true. And also, a lot of times people will do things like, nope, no sound. All right, I believe. Oh, that's why. All right, how about that? How about that? Can y'all hear me now? Is that a little better? Sorry about that, everybody. That should be working now. Can you guys hear me now? Well, that was crazy. There'd be 2 minutes of a video that doesn't have any audio. Can y'all hear me now? Anybody hear me now? Hello? All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Well, that was a good opening, but oh well. Hopefully, if people watch this video in the future, they won't click out of it because the first couple of minutes I might have to take it down after and redo it. But anyways, this channel is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to step on. My name is Anthony, and today I'm going to be talking about getting bad voiceover advice. And what I was saying, even though you couldn't hear me, was that this happens a lot. I see it a lot. I see it a lot in other groups. I see it in my group, and 9 times out of 10, it's not on purpose. There's someone's honestly trying to help, but there's advice given that is either plain wrong, that is just mean, mean in nature. I mean, and then there's advice given that is leading you down a different path than you should be going on. And I've really always lived by this adage that free advice is the most expensive advice. And I know that we're all running a business, and the name of the game is to make sure that our expenses are less than our income, right? The money that's coming in. But I have to say that it can be really challenging getting good advice. So I kind of want to talk about you know, what bad advice you could get, what the problem is with it, and how you can navigate around it. Because I see a lot of problem there. There's a lot that can happen to someone, especially new people. A lot of new people coming into our business, and what happens is there's a steep learning curve, as we know, right? I mean, you got to learn a lot when you first come in, especially if you're brand new to this stuff. It's difficult. So by doing that, we in order to get whatever information we can get and get feedback, we often have to put ourselves out there to the community, by posting our demos, our samples, asking questions that, are seemingly no brainers if you've been in the business for a little bit, but when you're new, it's very difficult. So what happens is that a lot of times, unfortunately, we get like meanness back. Like we get advice or tips or things that are just mean. Like the criticisms are mean. And I'm not saying I believe in constructive criticism, meaning like I think it's important that we're not told that we are good at something, when we need to improve. However, I do believe that there is a way about going about it which would be nicer to work with. I mean, it's one thing to say, "Hey, I noticed that this and this and this, you could maybe try this and I'll help you out." Or to say, "Yeah, this is really crappy, it sucks, and you really need to get a coach because man, it's bad." Like I mean, I get they're kind of, I mean, we're saying similar things, but we're not, because that advice you're also getting is not that you can improve on certain things, but it's that you suck, right? And that degrades who we are too. So listen, there's a part about this in the business before we move on to that, you got to be tough. You got to be tough and not listen to people. I mean, that's a hard thing. Let me rephrase. You got to be tough and you got to be aware of where you are getting your advice from. Like I said before, whenever you put yourself out there and you ask for free advice, you never know what you're going to get. And a lot of times people are saying things because they're just trying to be helpful. They don't even know what they're saying. A lot of times, most people who give free advice don't have actual any training in giving direction, meaning like they're not teachers, or they haven't been taught or trained on how to properly do that. I mean, like, I can't take credit for learning, like, I just learned how to be an educator on my own. I mean, I spent years as a teacher. I got multiple degrees in teaching and everything, and had done it forever. So, I have a lot of training when it comes to that stuff. Doesn't mean that you have to have training to do it. I'm just pointing out that I noticed there's a lot of advice given in the wrong way. And what that does is it makes you feel bad. And when you feel bad, you feel less most of the time. You feel less likely to try harder. All right. That's not always the case, but it happens. Another thing about getting bad voiceover advice, a lot of times people give us their opinions and tell us what they think that we should do. And the reality is that, there might be a hidden gem somewhere in there, but you have to understand that, if someone is giving you advice and A, it's not paying off, B, it's not what you think you should be doing. All right. And C, you're not necessarily paying for this, meaning like you haven't done the work and vetted the person that you're working with. Be very careful. If someone's telling you don't do Fiverr, because it's lame. I mean, I hope to God that we have put a lot of that worry to rest. But I think there are some people out there who still, but probably always gonna have a problem with it until the next platform comes along. I mean, so but there's always gonna be someone out there telling you not to do that. There's gonna be someone out there telling you that, your audio is awful. There's gonna be someone out there telling you that, you are doing the wrong types of books. You're doing short books, Anthony. You're not doing long books. And if you do short books, you're wasting your time and you're never going to be a serious narrator. I mean, there's all that advice out there. And what happens is when you start to listen to it, I think, and you start to let it creep into your mind, it starts to make you feel like you are not good at this or that you don't have a future at it. And I can tell you, I have built the back of my business on not listening to the advice and of a lot of people telling me to go here and to go there and do this and do that. And what I did was this, and let me get to the punchline of all this. What I did was I tried to find people who were actually succeeding and who are willing to prove that they were. Now, not everybody's going to do that, and I understand that. But I wanted to work with people that I saw actually doing it, making it, and because I wanted some sort of verification that I could actually do this work, just like I've said in the past about things. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to be mean to somebody and be like, show me your financial records. I mean, that's not clearly we're not going to get work with anybody that way. But what I mean is that, you want someone to be able to have done what they're telling you to do. Do you know what I mean? That's try to, when I'm doing, I try to talk about it on the podcast. I try to talk about it here. Like right now, I'm working really hard on doing some new things with my social media because my social media has been okay, but it's not, it's kind of hit a plateau. I've not really grown much. So I'm trying all kinds of new things in order to grow my social media. And I don't talk a lot about how you can grow, like how you can grow and get tons of work through social media, because that's not an avenue that I feel like I'm an expert at yet until I feel like I have a good idea. I think the new framework I've put in place is starting to work nicely with some of my social media, and I am starting to grow a little bit, meaning seeing more followers, seeing more engagement. But that takes time too. But the point is that I feel confident in talking to you all about a lot of subjects because I've worked very hard on them. And there's other subjects that I wouldn't feel confident telling you about or talking to you about, giving you advice. Just like you don't go to a doctor to learn how to become a race car driver, all right? And vice versa. So it's really, really important for you to know who you are taking the advice from. That's why a lot of times I feel like when people come to me and they say, "Hey, I'd like to post my demo in your group so I can get feedback from people." And I always tell them, I say, "You can, but just know too that you don't know these, you don't know the person giving the feedback is actually someone that has experience in actually, making demos, casting, you know what I mean? Know how to coach voice actors, or their audio engineers. You don't know that. So anybody can, and that's the thing with internet, right? Anybody can flip out advice, give out just whatever they say, but we don't actually know if it's good or not. And you find that out by doing research and listening to those people that you find out. And then the other ones, you close your ears. I mean, they're going to be there, but you got to close your ears and you got to keep moving forward. It's funny. I started my business doing short books on Amazon that were royalty share after I saw videos from people who were well respected in the community say don't do it, where there's groups that say you should never do that kind of stuff. And I started my career, and thank goodness I started the way I did. And I built methods around finding books that would pay me in royalty share and only spend an hour or two working on them. And I did that on my own. I found the information, I made a decision on my own, found people who were doing it, and didn't listen to the other people. Now, logically, you could say, well, then how do you know, especially if you're starting out, what's working and what's not working? That's why you have to see some sort of proof. And when I'm talking about proof, I mean, you need to just look deeper into the people, what they're doing. If things don't make sense, they don't make sense. Right? Like if you go to someone and they're telling you they're doing all this selling on Fiverr and you go look at their accounts and they don't have any reviews, it's suspect, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's not necessarily possible, but I mean, like if you click on my stuff, I mean, you'll see that I've done 13, 1400. I don't know how many voiceovers I've done on Fiverr now, but you see that. Even though and of course you don't always get as many reviews, right? You get about 60, depends on your own stats, but you'll get about 60 or 70%. If you're doing good, you'll get 60 to 70% review to work ratio. So, but anyways, and then if they're spread out over different gigs, but you get the idea what I'm trying to say. Look into who you're listening to. Do a little bit of research, because I'm telling you, the most expensive advice is free advice. And that's another thing about coaching too, about paying for coaching. I believe in it. I've paid for coaching throughout my business, my voice business career, and it's been different coaching. It's not always been voice acting. It's a lot of times I pay for business coaching, learning how to run a business, which is what I'm doing now. I'm working with larger businesses who coach smaller businesses. I do that stuff in order to grow my business as well. And I recommend that for you all too. We got to look at this as a business. But the thing I'm trying to say is that I actively look for coaches that I have vetted, I've done my research on, and I'm confident. Here's the thing. When I bet, and I say bet on a coach, I don't bet on the coach. I bet on myself. Meaning like when I spend money to work with a coach, I spend that money betting that I'm going to take that information and that I am going to use it to be successful with it. Not that I expect the coach to make me successful. Now, if I feel like the coach is not giving me information that I need, that's another thing. But if I've done my work and I've done my research right and I found who I want to work with, you know what I mean? The information they give me, it's my job to take that information and go as far as I can. It's not their job to do the work for me. And I think sometimes that's the challenge when you work with someone too, because you don't even know the expectations. So, yes, and a good way to do it is, of course, to read reviews and things like that. But, some coaches, like for me, for example, I've done a very, it's funny, I have a lot of reviews on Fiverr, but I've done a very poor job of posting reviews of all the people that I've worked with. And I've worked with so many amazing voice actors now. But I don't post reviews, and I've been given a lot of reviews, which is great. And I should think about doing that because it is a way for people to do their research on me. But I put a lot of content out, and I like to think that people can see that content too and find me that way. But it's just important that you do your research, okay, before you take that advice. All right. And as always, be careful about who you listen to. All right. Well, that's my thing about voiceover advice, getting bad voiceover advice. Let's look over here and see if anybody's got any questions, who's watching. Thank you, by the way, for the first couple of minutes when I was like silent. I'm talking away. He was like, can't hear you. Let's see. We got Nick. It's good to have you, Nick. Thank you, too, for letting me know. Brian, good to have you. Wolf Creek Training and Consulting, LLC. It's our normal tag for the day. Woody, what's up? Greg, good to see you. All right. So, thank you. We got, and I thought that was my speaker. Check the mic or something. Yeah. Great advice. Hopefully it's not glitching or anything. So, what happens is I have the Fed head. We can see it on my mic here. And I got this about a month ago or so. And it basically allows me, because this is a dynamic mic, it allows me to turn on the phantom power to this, which is not, you normally don't do with a dynamic mic. And then this takes the power, modulates it, all right, sends it to powers the dynamic microphone, meaning that it boosts the signal so that I do not have to have the amp up so loud. Even though I have a great preamp, which is the Apollo Twin, I still like to not have it up so loud. So what happens is all my settings are currently set in a certain way where it does not do that. So I have to remember to hit the button, hit the phantom power and turn down the volume. But what it does is it gets a cleaner sound without as much room noise. And if you have a loud amp, it really helps. My amp's not loud, but I went from boosting this up, even the Apollo Twin, I went from boosting it all the way up to like 98% pretty much to get the power I needed for this, to now it's at like 25%. That's how much this actually does great. All right, let's see what happens. Woody loves some Fed head. I know, right? I bought one for here, and I also bought one for my Sennheiser. I don't use it for my Sennheiser here, but if I travel, I do, because that's really nice. Let's see. A little out of place, but interview you did the other day was great. Oh, thank you. Was it with Jessica Taylor? Probably. She's fantastic. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys too. I'm going to be interviewing Red Horrocks, who is a top-rated seller on Fiverr. She is also been featured in Forbes and Business Insider and a bunch of different places. Really cool woman, done a lot of amazing work, makes a lot of money on Fiverr, and has some just really done some really great things. So I'm excited to have her on the podcast too. We have another interview coming up Friday with another voice actor. And so we've got a lot of good things planned for the podcast as well. So thank you guys. Yeah, I'll make sure that I put a link down in the description for the podcast that you can always reach that particular one too with Jessica. And also I did one with Disco Elysium's a main character, and we did. His name is Champenois. That's his last name. Is French actor, really voice actor, really awesome guy. We did an interview with him, so that was really cool. So you can check those out too. And we're going to be doing more. I'm going to be trying to do more and more interviews on the podcast because those seem to be very popular, and love getting information. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today. And if you can, go ahead and tick the like button. Make sure you go ahead and follow or subscribe and hit that notification bell, because that helps you make sure that you're notified when I go live, that you don't have any issues seeing me or knowing that I do. Because like I said on the other one, YouTube is starting to change their algorithm as well. So like less people are seeing it and so forth. So, but if you're notified that I go live, you're good to go. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And sorry again for the beginning of this video. And I bet it probably will affect how well it does, but that's okay. I'm glad that you guys stuck around. All right, you have a good one. I will see you tomorrow. All right, talk to you soon. Peace.